We are just waiting for Neil to come to our live session. We are facing a bit of internet problems at the moment. I hope your internet is clear and you're very fine in listening. Our guests today are Eike Stehr from Germany. It is Neil Dougan from Australia. It's myself, Marianne Kannengiesser.
Australia, it's myself.
So, Neil, you're in with two devices and we have a bit of a problem with bouncing voices.
So I've just closed down one of them already.
Very good. Very good.
I see that one still thinks that it's open though.
Yes, it thinks so, but it's not real. Then we are waiting for Gaio Schliwa from Greece who wants to participate, and we hope that he will be here soon. Our topic today is how to live in a community without defined rules and without a defined leader, which is not natural. Usually you have somebody who takes over, who is dominant and just tells you what to do and takes over the responsibility. But we are talking today about a version of community where the responsibility is on the shoulders of each participant and where the focus is the well-being of the group itself. So the eye of the participants is on what are the needs of the others and how can I serve them. So welcome everybody, welcome Neil, welcome Eike, welcome Gaio, I hope you're coming. And yes, let's start. Maybe you want to introduce yourself, Eike?
Obviously I don't want to, but I still do it. I'm called Eike, used to live in Germany and Switzerland for several years, and I'm traveling the world since 2018. We've been, my wife and I, we've been to South America for more than half a year. And we are currently here in Greece, locked down since the last half year. We plan to have a winter in Greece, and the winter continues until now.
Yes. Stranded on an island in Greece. It's not the worst thing that can happen.
That's true. That's true, yes.
But still, this is not your favorite choice, I know. But at the moment, I guess there are worse places on the planet where you could have been stranded.
Yes, I heard about Panama, for example, where you are very strictly regulated. You have 1 hour a week where you can leave your house. And that's ridiculous. 1 hour a week, which is to be used to go shopping, to go whatever, go to the hairdresser or do the laundry. Not every household does have a washing machine, so they have to do the laundry in washing centers or whatsoever. So yes, we're in a lucky position here. That's true.
It's crazy.
And we found a good company here with you, Marianne. Started to live as a small community without written rules, without pre-written rules. Yes, without pre-written rules. So we created our own rules, and there are not that many.
No.
And they were created in a democratic way. with 100% agreement.
So what we learned from that is that communication is a major part, and staying in communication, even if you're different, if you have different opinions, and take a lot of time of the day for communication.
Yeah.
I'm very interested in this notion of it being fully democratic, Eike. And so, in other words, I take what you mean is that there was complete agreement over these three rules. And I live in a similarly very small community. There's only 5 people in the community, six people, and myself included. And really, there's no rules at all in this community. So we've not sat down and made democratic rules at all, but rather, you know, and rather than there being particularly rigidly held agreements between us, it's a matter of absorbing. And I would like to sort of float this idea, for you, because it's an alternative approach, which is that the individual can decide to just absorb the energy of the other people.
Mm-hmm.
Is the approach that has been taken here, to like not universally successful, I might add. And sometimes I wonder, maybe it would be easier if there were some rules, but there certainly aren't. There certainly haven't been.
No,
so I just wonder what.
You don't need rules to survive. I mean, fixed, strict rules. Here in this community, we have, I would like to call them soft rules, like someone has to feed the cats. And we all agreed to that. And whomever feels responsible will do that. So there's no rule, Eike, you are feeding the cats tomorrow. And Marianne, you are the day after. No, there's just the rule, someone has to. And the one who feels responsible is just doing it.
Okay.
And we all feel responsible, for example, for earning some money or for doing, yes, some housekeeping stuff and things like that. Without finger pointing, without, I don't know. So yes, it's possible to live in the way we are living. We are proving this here since 4 months? No. 5.5 months. Since
But tell me what has been the biggest stress for yourself, or what have you observed as being the biggest stress for the others? What have you seen?
I think the most stressful points here in this community is the communication aspect. Because I know when I am on a heavy workload, the first thing I stop is communication. And just focus on the work and get it finished. Because communication for me isn't that important for doing my work, but it's important for living here and keep the community alive.
How about you, Marianne? What would you say has been the biggest stress for you?
The biggest stress for me was whenever I was confronted with one of my bad sides or my chief features or my filters. And I always can tell one example which really took my breath. It was literally took my breath. This was when the first time, without asking, Sandra took the keys of my car and went with my car shopping. And I realized that this is not my car anymore, and how attached I am to the idea of having a car and of it being my car, my car. And I did sit down in a chair and said, what is happening here? Why I am so distressed, why I'm so embarrassed. And it took me 1 hour in talking to myself to realize that it is my attachment that is the problem, not Sandra, not the car. It's my attachment. It's my personal bird in the brain, as we say here, who tells me that this is not right. And then I had a great big laugh about all that. And since then, everybody who needs the car happily can take it. But this was a major distress in myself. And it took 1 hour to solve it. And for me, in my position, that it takes 1 hour to solve a problem like that is a huge time. And to really get at ease with it. Usually I would make a decision and it's done. Takes 5 minutes, 1 minute, but that really took a long time. Sitting embarrassed in my chair.
Do you think the reason was that you had to sort of filter your way through to find it, or to admit it?
I had to take my way all through the road of, am I living alone in my house with my car, and is that what I want? Or is it living in a community with our space and our place and our house and our car? And I had to decide new. And I decided to go forth, to decide for the community and against personal possessions. Hi, Gaio. So glad you're here. So glad you're here.
Okay.
Hi.
So, Gaio, we are starting to talk about how to live in a community without rules and leader. And Neil asked, what was the worst shock for ourselves starting to try to live in a community without rules and without leader? And for Eike, it is a communication problem, because when he gets under stress and has to work a lot, he just stops to communicate. And in building a community, communication is so essential. So that gives stress. And for me, it was sharing of property.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And especially sharing my car, because I was so attached to my car. You know, as a woman of my age, my first car was the biggest thing ever. And the driving license was, wow, I'm a woman now. And having a car, and especially now my pickup, was a very big thing, or the Jeeps that I had. I really loved them. Each of my cars has a name. And somehow I had a very deep relationship with that car. And now sharing that car, this was the drama. Sharing the house, sharing the kitchen, not that problem, but sharing my car. Wow. This gave a lot of stress to me. And I just said that it took 1 hour that I had to sit in my chair and think it through. What do I want? What do I not want? can I decide for sharing, or do I have to decide to live alone again with my car and all my possessions, not sharing? And that after an hour, I could really start laughing about myself. What a drama queen am I?
Hmm.
Well,
Yeah.
it's interesting. Interesting with you know what you're talking about. In my own case, the biggest stress for me is that sometimes for 2 or 3 days I can be ignored, so they don't take any attention to me at all. So I'm not receiving attention, and when this happens, this stress can really be significant. It can be a very significant stress to me, and I have to continually be doing something like a mantra where I'm stopping the circular thinking and these things, and just, well, look, it's their business. If they want to give me attention, they can do so. If they choose not to do so, then that's their choice. It's their responsibility. And so not that I need to be at the center of attention, but I do like to be acknowledged. It's like I want to be acknowledged, and that's the biggest stress, being in this little community of 6 people, is that sometimes I don't get acknowledged. I'm not seen.
Mm-hmm.
How about you, Gaio?
Yeah, I have also, my car is also a very special car. I call her Holy, and I got also signs. The sign of my car is also Holy. So I'm very personal. Have a personal relationship with her, and now I put a lot of attention to her. That she's driving me through Greece and back to Germany and all this. So I don't want to miss her, and it makes me stressed to let somebody else, even my best friend Marcos, who is even a car mechanic, he was not able to drive her in a way that I could trust him. I said, no, you have to the gear is more soft, and so, because I'm so connected with her. And so I a long time I don't share her with somebody else. It's like my woman.
Yeah, that's interesting. A friend of mine living in Switzerland said always to me, you know, Eike, even if I'm married, there are only 2 things I won't share with other men. The one thing is my shaver, and the other thing is my motorbike.
Yeah. Mm.
So it's a deep connection for some people. Yes, I do understand that.
Yeah.
That's interesting. We have different attachments, but when it comes to community, what gets seen are the attachments. You
Yes.
can't hide them anymore. And you have to decide whether you will drop the community or you will drop the attachment.
Mm. Well, that's very much the case for me. It began, my journey of this was to remind myself that I wasn't that important. I'm not so important. And that was the beginning step to being able to release the attachment to being seen and to being acknowledged.
Mm.
That was the beginning of it. But this is quite challenging. I found it quite challenging.
May I ask you now, because I came later, did you discuss the point that living in a community automatically means sharing everything? Is this the point you want to discuss? Because for me, there's different levels in connection. In the 5D world, I'm totally connected with the whole world, with everything, with every single living being. And on the 3D, we have this yin and yang stuff, and dark and night, and day and light, day and night, and all this, and yours and mine.
Yeah.
So I think it's very physical. It's practical. It is efficient. When I have the authority to look after something, and this does not mean that I have no community around me. It is just it helps to let the things run when there is natural authority of talents and of gifts and powers we have.
Yes, but this is not essentially connected to personal. I thought that this is not directly connected to personal possessions. If you are the one who is the best doing the garden, yes, of course, you will mostly handle all the tools that belong to the garden, but that doesn't essentially mean that the tools of the garden have to belong to you.
Yeah, physical. Yes, sure. I'm the guard. I guard. I keep the system running because I put my attention on it. If there is somebody else who is doing it, I will not have any problem to share it.
Yes,
so
this is the point where the communication starts. And if two persons doing the garden, you will naturally meet in the morning and talk.
So
oh, what are you going to do today? And can I assist you in some way? Or
Hallo.
Wir können dich hören.
Ja, ich konnte dich gerade nicht hören. Das ist irgendwas mit Point.
I just wanted to say that naturally, if 2 or 3 people are doing the garden, you will meet in the morning and connect and ask, what are we going to do today, and who needs what tools to do it, and are we working together or in separate places? Does somebody need assistance or not? You will just communicate and then go on working.
Yeah, and this is the way how trust can rise up and grow.
Yes.
Because then you see that, as you said, where is he? He left us.
I obviously has some internet problem, but we'll be back again. Don't worry.
Yeah, but what he said before, that he what he said to this.
He was talking about the attention he needed.
Yeah.
That it took him quite time to see that he is not that important, that he needs attention.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you know, my dream is to have everywhere in the world to come to know that there is a team who are running the system, and I just support the system in the same way like the others support it, so that it's not important that, like, let's say, like a bee in the beestock. And on this physical level, yeah, that the things are running around without any problems, that there is abundance everywhere. So and then probably when there is abundance, I will not have any problem to share really everything. But there is a if there is abundance. So I can start with it to feel this abundance now. It's already like this, special on this place. I am in Zenvox Mani. Here just now a community starts on this weekend. The place is ready for community. And they discuss community everywhere. Yesterday in Mani, I met a circle from Paula Forni. She makes, she's creating the Brasiliaco community up in the mountain, and they were speaking about rules of community. So when somebody is a guest and from which point is not a guest, and when it is full member of the community, this stuff, yeah. Oh. It felt very heavy.
This is a heavy thing, because then there is no natural development.
This was the other meaning. They were one person said, yeah, but why we should live together if we don't trust each other? So there must be a beginning, a big power in the beginning, just an overwhelming love which meets, and then it's a brother and a sister, and you will never have the discussion of you and me.
Yeah.
And if there is from the beginning this how much I give in and how much I get out, this is not community. And
this
the discussion of
this is still
what?
ego, and I think if you really want to live in a community, for example, in a way like we the three of us are doing here, there is no ego possible. And there is, just like Marianne said, I was so attached to my pickup, and it's my one and only, and who is this? Who is talking to me?
Somebody who had made bad experience or has a trauma from his life.
Yeah, maybe.
Yes, but it's my trauma and I have to care for it, and I cannot solve it on another person's back.
Yeah. As long it doesn't matter as long as if there are enough cars and all the needs are satisfied, and in the moment when your car is the only car which will help in a special situation, I'm sure you will give the car for this reason to solve the problem in the let's say emergency.
Oh, this is not the thing here. You know, we have two cars here, but we usually take my car for go shopping or go somewhere.
Yeah, but you, okay, so you let Sandra drive your car?
Yes.
Wow, super. So you made it.
Yes. And as I said, it took me 1 hour personal self-inquiry sitting in my chair till I really could laugh about myself. How,
okay, now I understand. Yeah.
How could I develop such an attachment to a car that I am not able to share it? And I did see it as my problem, not as Sandra's problem. I took self-responsibility, and I decided that either I make the jump now and go to an unconditional point of view concerning the car, or I make a step back and solve the problem by living alone again. But this is not solving the problem. This is putting the problem aside to solve it later in my time, my lifetime. So I decided to make the jump now and make new experiences. And I have the experience that the car gets not damaged. I still can drive with it when I want to. The car still works when I want to drive it.
Yes.
And still I feel its name, it's Michael, as before.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, there's no reason for us to change the name of the car. And nobody will change my name only because they don't like it.
Okay. So there are, in this stuff is more practical reasons. Who will fix a car when something happens, and so this stuff. I think much more deep are the relationship stuff in the community. what you said about Eike, about ego. I just read, if there is a you, there is a I.
Yeah.
Very important sentence. The Facebook is full of these speakings today. Everybody's speaking about community. Yesterday we had the 6-6, this day of love, and now the people think, oh, let's live together, let's make things together, and you know, it's every year the same procedure.
Yes, but I think when you start a community, it's always good to start it. But this is no place for hiding the ego. In each community, just as in a deep relationship, your ego will be exposed. And all your personal flaws, all your the concepts you have in the mind, all the problems and the traumas you had your lifetime, sooner or later, they will get triggered and will get exposed. And either you solve them with the help of the community, or you drop out of the community.
Yes, I call it liquid being. Just feel where is the resistance to something. Go. This is possible when we are alone. When we are able to watch ourselves. Let's say from an outside, to see the ego and to reflect it. But in the moment we live together with others, we are forced. It's just it's bringing us into all this. And as you say, it's we should not hesitate to just to look at it. It will not damage anything.
No, only the
it's
ego
good
can
for
get damaged, and we want to get rid of it anyway.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And what you said before, that there are rules. Is somebody a member or a guest of a community? This only lets us see that there's great insecurity and that there's a lot of fear in this beginning community. Because in a real community, it's like in a relationship. You're always free to come and go. You're always the guest of everybody. And you will stay to be it.
Yeah. Yeah, I also feel that if I come to a place I haven't been in, this place is calling itself community. This for me is definitely the sign how much rules they need, how much control they installed, how the thing is running. Is one person the boss? I don't speak about authorities and talents and guard function. Yeah, when on this place they want to make me the chief gardener to install the permaculture structures, and I feel not like a boss. I feel like the the server of I'm serving the place, like in a spiritual meaning. That I give my love to it, and if if everybody has this feeling to give the love into it, then I think it's possible to have a hard-rooted community.
Yes, welcome back.
Hi, Neil.
Hi. I think I'm coming in at exactly the point where I wanted to ask the question.
Yeah.
And for me, the basis of these communities is polyamory, so love for everybody. This is the basis of these communities, and the topic of being able to love many people is very fraught. It's very, very challenging, and particularly challenging within existing relationships, and the notion of possession, that it's my, this is my person who is important to me. And it's a very, very challenging thing. It's very interesting, and made worse, of course, if there is polygamy involved as well. That makes it even harder. But just in the sort of where there is an open and natural love for everybody in the community and outside the community as well, this appears to me to be the foundation stone. And I'm very interested to hear. I'm not expecting you to go over what you've already talked about, but what is there something that new there that you wanted to talk about?
We were just talking about that some communities start with a heap of rules and with strict membership, and this is somehow confronting to us. It doesn't feel free. It doesn't feel being a guest. And somehow we see all the fear in it, that communities that are fear-based and control-based are probably not what we want to live, because in a community we want to thrive and live freedom of choice. And Gaia was just talking about that in a community that wants to start now, he was offered to have the position of the chief gardener who will install permaculture. So based on his talent, he was offered a position. Now he can think of either to take it or not. But if you do it that clear, it's somewhat, let's say, it means that the whole responsibility for the gardening is on Gaio. And this is not what the community is about. We started from the point where we said the cats have to be fed. And so somebody will jump in to feed the cats. And if everybody has the responsibility for the garden, no matter whether Gaio is the specialist or not, the garden will be cared for, and maybe Gaio will attend and give his wisdom, but it's not on his shoulders as a pressure.
I think that's a question of what kind of community are you going to found. If you are founding a community like we are living here in an anarchical way, then you are true. Everybody should feel responsible for the garden, as well as the cats, as well as the housekeeping. But if it's a community with the main goal to reduce the cost of living, then there might be a chief gardener who is doing the major steps, have the full control about on the garden tools, on implementation of permaculture, etc. So the goal of the community is, in my opinion, as important as the rules set inside.
Mm.
And if you start a community based on the idea, you want to see whether your love is able, whether you have enough love in yourself to be able to love everybody who is in the community, and to stay in an unconditional way a loving being. This is a high goal, very high goal, from a consciousness perspective.
So it is what is helping very much is when the group which is starting, that it is in this let's say in this consciousness, join in this consciousness, that they know about it. When there is a basic group, we call it the heart circle. There should be, as I think I told you, is when it's 7 or 10 people who are in this mood, it's a very stable foundation. When you are 3, you feel it's a little bit weak. You like to grow to 7 or 10 people. So 12, you say it in this togetherness meant, you say it's 12 people is a good number. So how to get there? And the place has to be fitted for it. The people, they are sucked by this place. They will come from alone when the place is available, and it is if it's space enough to create it. And what you said about Eike, about this the wish, why you living in a community, just to have a cheap life, or to you have a goal for to go somewhere. This is also a point, a political, philosophical, spiritual goal, or all together, to see the wholeness, what is necessary to start a new family life, what we call the tribe life. Yeah, I think the basic instincts to find our tribes, to be a tribe, to be part of a tribe, and to call all our family to be a tribe, and then we can live this feeling of family. I never would doubt to my kids or to the true family. Always there is trust. There is, even if they make stupid things, I will have trust to them.
Yeah. So in reality, to start a community, you need a place, a placeholder, and an intention. And then people will come.
Family. Yes. Yeah.
So Neil.
Yeah, this place here, this is a very luxury yoga and zen resort with fantastic aesthetic settlements, and this can grow easy to a community. This place here, the couple who found it, they started it just now, to invite people to be part of it. So it's not the looking for houses and rooms and for something is to start. This is special quality on this place, and every place has its own qualities in some reason to go on for the next step. As your place, I see your place is, you have space enough, easy, you could grow easy to more people in Pigazulia, I mean.
Yes, of course.
And Neil, you are simples on your place. You are 6 people, you said?
6 people. But
you also you make gardening and everything?
Yeah. Definitely. Internet is funny today.
Internet is funny. Don't focus on the internet. Focus on the connection.
Yeah.
So I think the other issues that Gaio is talking about there is the beautiful property that he's on, where there's many infrastructure opportunities and so on. And if people are trying to form communities where there are no, there isn't the similar infrastructure, then there's a different intention and requirement and need within the community. And the community, if it's based on love will wish to resolve those problems. So more amenities, more physical resources, so on. Just the same as our responsibility is to grow the food, and so therefore everybody takes responsibility around to grow the food, or whatever the other things are. And one of the issues that has been obvious for us, and I think also for you, Mariana and Eike, is the need for space. So we have this need to be together, and all of this heart connection and so on. But there is also a need for separation or space. Separation is the wrong word, but I wonder if you could talk about that, each of you.
A bit of private space does not necessarily mean that you need a big room or an apartment or a separate building. This private space is what, when we think of the viper we talk to, is the personal territory. And this is a floating thing in time and space. And it depends on your personal dignity. So if I want to be alone for meditation, I tell the community that I'm going to meditate. And I'm retreating to the terrace, to my sleeping room, wherever, and I meditate. But doesn't mean that I have to have a big space where I can go to. It's about communication and my personal center. That whether somebody's cooking in the kitchen or other people are talking, or even if somebody would be 2 meters next to me, I still have the time and the space to meditate in that floating territory. I don't need to have a personal terrace. I take it for this quarter of an hour meditation. Then it is my territory. Then the next person can do it. And if we find our center in ourselves, this personal space we need is space in time and space. It's a place in time and space which can be everywhere at any time.
I agree with you. I understand what you're saying.
We just had listeners who said, oh, this all makes a lot of sense, but sorry, I can't watch to the end. To those listeners, I want to say, go to our YouTube channel, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and watch the matinee recording. The recordings are on the YouTube channel. You can watch it anytime. Just subscribe to the channel and you will find it.
Yeah, what I would like to say to this personal space, to this private moments, I think we as men, Neil and I, we have a big opportunity in our nothing box, which is always available wherever we are. This typical male thing, you know, you are there, you're watching TV. No, the TV is running and you're just sitting in front of it. You're in the nothing box. You're just doing nothing. And every man can do that anytime. I don't know how and why women can't do. They just can't.
Yeah.
So this is, if I am there looking into my laptop and just doing nothing, I literally do nothing and nobody can see it. Nobody will recognize it unless he talks to me and I'm not reacting. Perfect thing for man.
That's interesting. Well, I'm capable of doing that. I am capable of zoning out.
Yeah, you're a man.
I can do it, but I still need to have these personal, the private moments where I don't feel under pressure. So I think this is a part of it as well, is that this idea that I'm being under pressure.
Yes, but
And
this is a personal filter.
oh, I understand. Yeah.
But
I'm not
obviously, those filters will get seen in a community. Just as my crazy attachment to the car.
Yeah, but they will get respected by the community. And I think that's important, to respect other people having own belongings, ego belongings, until they are totally gone.
Yeah, so it's attachments within that level of the ego. I completely agree with you, Eike. And so that, like, we started off the conversation and I was talking about that I find it hard when I'm being ignored. That's ego. That's an egoic attachment. And that I'm being put under pressure by other people, that they're expecting a lot of me. This is an egoic attachment. Because in reality, I can either perform or not perform.
Yeah.
This would be true.
Yeah.
I don't have to be seen, and I don't have to be, given space or respected. It's only the ego that requires that.
And the interesting thing is to treat it like a disease. You would never blame anybody to be ill. You just see the disease, you respect the disease, you ask, do you need anything? Do you want to have any care? Do you want to talk? Just as you would talk with somebody who is ill. Same with my attachment with the car. And slowly by slowly, the person will heal. And it's a process, and it's absolutely okay. How often have I talked with Eike about communication? And talked with him that it is so hard when he drops communication. And we look at each other and we laugh because we know it's a process.
Yeah, and still
and I take.
Still, communication is not so important for me.
Yeah.
What other ego attachments would you see as being barriers to a good community? What other ones?
We had possession, we had communication.
I think overall, all attachments, all ego points are not very good if you really want to live in a community. And if you just can let go everything your ego is telling you, and there's only a we in the minds of everybody, you will share everything with anyone. And you will even share your body with anyone if you like to. If there's no need to do that. Whereas need is an ego point again.
Interesting aspect. What I would say, major things are the need to be right. To know what is right and wrong and good and bad and false and okay. This is one major thing which gives difficulty. Even if you know how to do the kitchen right. I can tell you, this is a major thing. They needed to accept that I want to have everything washed before dinner.
Yes, that's okay.
It's okay, but now they accept it. I want to sit in a clean kitchen. But it's my point, if they start eating, that I might start later.
Yeah, and if somebody likes me to do the cooking, please accept that there is a bomb inside the kitchen after I finished.
Yeah.
That's the way I'm cooking, yes. And yeah, one of my big hidden talents is not to clean up afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
A hidden talent.
Yes.
It's a hidden talent.
Yes, because I don't see it. For me, it's okay.
So we have to accept when Sandra or me are not able to cook, that he will cook, but afterwards it's a lot of a mess.
Yes.
That's the way it is.
So part of this is accepting diversity and acknowledging diversity. It appears as though what you're talking about there at the moment is that there is a right and a wrong, whereas, you know, perhaps there is no right and no wrong in this situation.
We are laughing about it because it's so funny. Because we came from the point what is good or bad or right or not right. But now in this experimental phase, we see that we have a lot of fun in accepting the diversity, and that's just some causal moments. So that means if Ike is cooking, it's best I clean up. Because after that, the kitchen is okay. And another thing, what I realized is a big point is the traumas with which we enter in the community. So if I learned that you cannot trust men, it's a big point having a man in the community. Because he will have a bad standing without doing anything. It's my personal trauma. And it's my filter with which I'm entering in the community. And this gives trouble. And then the third thing that I found challenging for communities is the projections. When I have a problem and look at him and see, oh, what problem he has. I can do it myself, not communicating when I'm working hard. Believe me, I'm not better. But I see it very good in him.
So in the fun, you're having the fun about a topic, and, you know, we are talking about a particular subject, and we can have some fun. We can find some comedy. We can find some comedy in our lives and so on. We still enter into a place where there is a right and a wrong, and, you know, this is what Gaio was talking about when he, just before he went off there, is that where there is a determination around what is right, it's potentially very stressful. I guess it's not the end of the world, because continue to communicate, analyze what's going on, understand what's happening inside yourself, grow and evolve within yourself, and the community can grow and evolve as well. The one thing I can say without a doubt is that in our little community here, that I've never had to work on myself harder than I have done inside this community.
Totally agree, yes.
Yeah.
That's so true.
And so the rate of growth for the individual is highly escalated.
Yeah.
And I feel as though this is a very, very important feature. So if you're setting up a community based around consciousness, with an intention around consciousness, then don't expect it to be easy, and expect it to be, you know, like rapid change. The work on yourself to actually be very real. So I would consider in my life that I've spent my entire life trying to work on myself. I'm 60 years old. And yet I would say without a shadow of a doubt in the last few years that I have never worked so hard.
Yeah, agree to that. It's nobody ever said that it's easy, but I can tell it's worth it. Absolutely.
I subscribe. I sign.
Yeah, and now you donate and everything is fine.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to place a little advertisement here. If you or one of our listeners would like to work on your own, on your inner self, here's a small house. And there you can learn everything about yourself within this little community. Literally everything. Just get in contact to us. Send a mail out to Marianne or support at Online Summit. We will answer for sure. We give you the opportunity to stay here for a week or for a month, whatever you like to learn who am I? Who are you?
And to really make experience. We have a lot of thoughts of ourselves in our mind. But to experience what is real is a different thing.
Yes.
And to say it again, Neil, you are invited.
Yes. Well, so I've heard. Yeah. Well, you guys are invited to come and join me in my community here too, of course. So.
Yeah, sure. But you have winter time now, so no chance.
It's not so good. Not so good. We appear to have lost Gaio. Yeah.
Yes, I was looking on my cell phone, but there's no comment from him. I guess he lost internet connection. Maybe where he is, it's not that stable. He's down at the Mani. It's a news center. Maybe they don't have a real landline. Maybe they are on mobile internet, and then it's not easy. So Sandra did post our email address in the chat, and I just wonder whether one of our listeners has a question, whether one of our listeners is interested in community, thinks of either doing a community or living in a community, and still has something that holds back, that seems to be fearful. And now you really have the possibility to ask. There are 3 people here who have experience and are keen to answer your questions. So place them in the chat. Neil, what would you say is the major challenge for you, besides that you are seen?
It would be the fear of the future. So the fear of what might happen going forward. That would be the biggest challenge for me. And, so it's sort of like end of life fears, that type of thing. And so they would be the aspect that I'm working on very, carefully, very closely at the moment is, working with that. And I guess that's a cultural thing. So, in the Western culture is that you expect to, work for all of your life and put away money, put them into the bank and, prepare yourself for retirement. And I'm not doing any of those things. And despite that as an intention, so I've intentionally done that, but it's still fearful. It's still fearful. So the letting go of the need for certainty would be one of the biggest challenges. And a community just adds to that uncertainty. adds to that unknown. I would think that would be the number one challenge for me, is just to be able to accept every day as it comes, and not to be attached to being confident about a future.
Yes, and you cannot press your community members to be there tomorrow. If they agree to be here today, it's fine. And you have to be that self-centered that you know even if all of your community would go, a new community will come. Because you still, or not. But usually if you want it, if you want to live in a community, even if all the community members will go, there will come others. So it's trust in the come back to God or system intelligence or life intelligence, however you call it, or trust in life force. That whatever your intention is, it will come. You will be able to manifest it, good or bad. Beware your wishes, as the Dalai Lama said.
Well, I remember when we first started talking about these ideas, man, 6-7 years ago, and we talked about Diogenes, the famous Greek philosopher, who lived in a barrel, and he had no idea where he would get food from the next day. And if somebody gave him some food or somebody didn't give him some food, he, that was all there was to it. And ever since then, I've tried to model my life on Diogenes, to not be attached to security, to certainty. But it's not so simple.
Oh, it's challenging. It's definitely challenging, and it's okay to be challenging. Otherwise, you would be Buddha by Friday, and I would lose our bet.
Yeah, well, that's right. Yeah, who's going to be
still
first?
5 days to go. That's okay.
Still, I'm heading for next Friday to be Buddha by Friday, Still dreaming of making it 1 week upfront.
Make the jump. Make the jump.
So we don't have any question in our chat. It's such a sad thing. I was hoping to get some questions here today. But maybe living in an anarchic community without leader is still very difficult. But you always can think of it as being a circle where you do not focus on a leader in the middle, you focus on the common goal in the middle, on the common cause, on the intention. And that might give relief. Because there's still something that holds you together. It's just is no human being. It's not the strongest. It is not the best hunter. The best hunter and the strongest are there in the circle. You just focus on the common cause.
So for you, Marianne, and Eike as well, would you consider yourselves to naturally be a leader type, strong leader type?
Quite. At least a horse told me that.
Okay.
I don't trust so much in human beings, but and a horse, very good therapeutic horse, also a Friesian black type of very, very big horse, 2 meters, 10 years old, champion. He was asked whether I am a leading person, and my task to do was lead that horse without any rope 1 hour in a hall. And that horse told me, or he let me see that even thinking away is too much. I had to focus on him totally for 1 hour, and he walked with me. He was very gentle to me, and after that word said, yes, I'm a leading personality.
I like it. So, Eike, do you feel that you are naturally a leader yourself?
I'm not sure. Some people, and that's not my opinion, some people say I'm a leader. Some people say I'm not. I'm not feeling myself as a leader. I know I could lead a team, for example, if this is part of my job, whichever job that might be. But I don't feel like a leader. I just feel like a member. And yes, I take responsibility for things to do.
Yeah, okay.
And that's, for me, more important than being a leader and telling others what they should do.
Well, it's interesting. In my own case, I would have spent a lot of my life trying not to be the leader. So my attempt, I won't say necessarily it's an intention, but my attempt is to not be the leader. And people will always shove me into that position to be the leader continuously. And so what we're talking about here, with having a circle, and that the circle is the leader, and that the circle is also the team, and it's the team members, but the circle itself is the leader. This is a migration for me. It's not something that I'm fearful of. There's no fear of that. It's something that I've wanted for probably 25 years. But it's interesting. And I'm not sure what it is in an individual that draws that from the people around them. So it would be something that I would be wary of. I would be wary of as communities grow and change and new people come and go and all that type of thing. Is that I'm aware of not being drawn into that role, which can happen very subtly. Very subtly.
I think that you are the person whom people like to give the responsibility, so that you should take responsibility for them. And when you take that ticket, you are in the leader position and in a bad position. But it's like the offering of the ticket of guilt. It's the offering of the ticket of please take the responsibility I should have for myself. Please take it over. And maybe from your cultural design, you were trained to say, yes, I will take over responsibility. Right, I will do it.
Sorry, Eike, you were saying?
You always have the chance to say no. Sorry, but I don't like to be your leader. And I think that's, we were talking about circles, and a circle of people, a circle of humans is just like, there's one human to the left and one human to the right of myself. And I'm connected to them. And this circle goes around by 50 people. And they are connected and they are moving together. And if you have a team with a team leader, there's one person in human teams, one person in the front, and all the others are standing behind him, or maybe in front of him, depends on the direction he's looking. But they are not connected. Our shoulders are left, right, and not front, back. So the joints are left, right, and not. from the front or in the back. So the only connection we can do is to the sideways and not in a direct axle.
This is confronting. And this is what we should do with challenges and not with human beings.
Yes. So this is building a circle is more stable than building a team. And maybe this can be important for building a community, to build a community as a circle with equal human beings and not with one leading person in the front.
Mm-hmm.
Or maybe if we look on wolf's rudel,
Tribe.
a wolf's tribe where the leader is in the very back of the tribe.
The leading wolf is never going up front. The leading wolf is leading from behind.
Yeah. The strongest wolves are in the front and in the back, and the leader is behind the strongest. And in the middle are the weak. That's working also. But yeah, the wolves are acting in a different way compared to humans.
They have the totem of being the leaders, but actually the wolves are absolutely social beings. Very wise beings.
So let's connect with the shoulders and not with nose to back.
Okay, so we're really talking here about circles as opposed to hierarchies. And this is fundamental to what we're doing, is removing all hierarchy.
So to get a solution to the question we started in this talk is how to live in a community that has no rules and no leaders. This is connect in circles and focus on a common cause.
Yeah. So the idea that the common cause is in the center is okay, but the common cause can be like electricity flowing around the circle as well. That would be another way of viewing it.
We have an interesting question here. Is it about a community without leader or with leader? We are talking about a community without leader. Bilbo says a circle of leaders is also a hierarchy. This is an interesting thought. Is a circle of leaders also a hierarchy?
Yes, so one level hierarchy, yes.
It's not many level.
A circle is usually a two-dimensional element. If it's a three-dimensional element, it's a ball or a cylinder. And if it's two-dimensional, it's flat. So it's one level hierarchy. And if all of them are leaders, then that's okay, because if they are connected, they cannot move that far away from all of the others of the team.
Maybe if it is a circle of leaders, it might be a very effective community.
Yes.
Might be.
Well, that would be an interesting aspect that you're talking about. If it is this notion of a circle of leaders, then it's certainly going to be high action. It will be high promoting whatever it is that's going on. If you had a circle of followers, so like people where nobody would actually be strong in themselves, that would be an interesting model too. That would be an interesting model.
Would usually focus more on empathy then, on the well-being of the community, not of the action or the goal of the community, but on the well-being of the community. I guess it would differ that way. But that doesn't mean that it is better or less good. It's just a different kind of community. A community of followers usually will, I guess, focus more on the well-being of each community member. Might be not so effective, but might feel very, very good. Whereas a community of leaders might be exceptionally effective, but we will have to ask, are they feeling good? Do they have a lot of empathy between each other? Might be not so good, but will be effective. And if you have to really address a goal, it would be a good option.
So through communication, a community can choose to do either, can't it?
Yes, and
Through communication.
When you're a leading personality, you can come together in a community of leaders, and then you can split again and go to in a community of followers, and maybe be a follower there and just relax and focus on your well-being for a time. It doesn't have to be one thing forever. I guess this is another thing that we have to focus on, that there's always a rhythm in life.
I think it's really interesting, you know, what's coming out of that question that's being asked there is that a group, like a circle of leaders, as you say, is very proactive, very action orientated, and a circle of people who are passive, so we could say passive rather than being a follower. So a circle based on the whole group being passive, it would be about absorbing everything. It would be empathic. It would be so it's a very interesting thing, and that idea of you know, being able to actually at some times the community be in one mode or another mode, that's fascinating as well.
Mm-hmm.
Fascinating.
Or being open to be in one community at a time, and that it doesn't have to be forever. That you are a guest, and each guest is allowed to leave when the time is over. We are just not used to think in just bits of time, because we need to be secure. We need to have a fixed end. We need to have control, and a lot of us are fearful, need security. But if you're open that there's just stages of life and parts of life, one is here, one is there, then you can have a lot of experiences and most probably profit a lot and share this profit with others, be it profit in money or wisdom.
Sure.
But this has as one of the things that is needed then is drop control. Easier said than done.
Absolutely.
Bilbo, what is your comment on that? It was a very interesting question. I'd like to hear something from you. Bilbo said each move takes time and energy in life. I'm not sure I'm young enough to go on try and errors from one community to the next. Oh, Bilbo, you're younger than me. You can do it. You're definitely younger than Neil. But yes, of course, what I hear in there is disappointments, lots of disappointments. And yes, I know, disappointment sucks.
So when is the moment when you can get disappointed? Only if you have expectations.
Yeah.
And that's a question of letting go.
Again, letting go of expectations, easier said than done.
No, it's very easy. I did it years ago, and when I went from a company I was employed at, when I've been to any Lehrgänge,
Causes?
Any courses, there was always this question: what is your expectation from this course or to this course? And I always said, I don't have expectations. And everybody else said, oh, you have to have expectations. No, I don't have to. Everything I'm learning here is a profit for me, even if I know what someone is telling me. Maybe there's just a different wording in what I am learning, and it's giving new input to me. So it's a win for me. It's always a win for me. And why do I need to expect anything special, which is probably not the content of this course? So I'm disappointed. Just decide not to expect anything from anyone.
Yeah, I agree. In the end, it's a decision. So, are there still any questions, any comments? Is letting go, drop control really compatible with the wish of a leading circle? A leading circle. Let's talk about a circle of leaders, which might be more clear. Is letting go, drop control really compatible with a circle of leaders? Interesting question. Again, we are talking with one of the most intelligent women I know. So, is it in a circle of leaders thinkable, compatible to drop control? What would you say?
What is control?
Control is when I have the need to work on fixed opinions and set stopping points.
So it's also about certainties. Sorry, okay.
Isn't control an imagination?
Oh, absolutely. I would think that the answer to what Bilbo's posing there is that it's essential to not actually expect anything. So you were talking about expectations there before, but the expectation of an outcome, a specific outcome, and therefore the drive to actually go towards that outcome. This is a fundamental thing that community of leaders, the community which is in a circle, and everybody's a leader in that circle. The intention of it is to not have control. The intention is not to be right. The intention is to be a circle.
Yes,
but it's just strong. It's strong, really strong.
Yes. And I understand it's about not absolutely reaching a goal. It might be about having a goal, having a common cause, but not essentially having to meet that goal.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
Interesting thought.
So whereas like if you're talking about a community which is based on people who are just absorbing, who like they are very passive, there is no intention around goals there either. As you say, like the intention is the community.
Bilbo says she is in reality absolutely against the idea of a leader, as she in herself focuses on the idea of Ubuntu. Maybe we have a misunderstanding here. We were not talking about the idea of leaders. We were talking about are there qualities that are looked upon as leader qualities. We're not talking about people who appoint themselves as a leader. We were talking about abilities. Just as in a wolf's tribe, to be the leader of the wolf tribe doesn't mean that you're out of the tribe or out of the circle or running up front or being the strongest. It's just the position of it, depending on wisdom, benevolence, and capability and responsibility, and you cannot take it. It is given to you. Bilbo says there's no misunderstanding there. But when I'm thinking of permaculture principles, which are very much focused on circles, even there, as far as I can remember, Mollison said, if you want to make decisions and go a path, focus on the ones who do the work and not focus on the ones who do the work very capable and let them do the decisions. Maybe this is a hint to it.
Look, I still think it's one of the most interesting things that's come up in this conversation today.
And I just have an idea, and I wanted that to continue this conversation in a fortnight, and I'm asking Bilbo to participate in this conversation next time in a fortnight to be able to solve it directly in this room as speakers.
If she likes to do it, yes.
Yes. So if you like to do, Bilbo, just come on our sundowner in a fortnight, and we will solve it in this room, and we will want to hear you. We want to see your opinion, and we really want to discuss it because we want to grow. Bilbo says yes.
Wonderful. So I think one, like heading into that, is that we're crossing a path, a number of things here, and one of them is the nature of an individual who is an action taker. So it's the action takers, and then it's the other sort of people who are more absorbing. Mm-hmm. So their nature is to absorb. And I know, I talked about this at the beginning of the meeting, is that the thing that I've been learning to do in this community more than anything is how to absorb. And so, my daily activities are about absorbing the energies here. And of course, in the circle, it's not necessary for everybody to be absorbing or for everybody to be initiating. Not necessary at all. And in fact, it would be depending on the individual and what they're up to and how they feel about whatever's being talked about. For some, they will want to absorb, and for some, they will want to initiate. Yes, so we're crossing into that. And we should be clear that a good leader, might be somebody who was either of those things or both. And of course, what we're talking about here is, as Bilbo's talking, as she's really referring to, is that we're not looking for leaders at all. Yes. It's so hard though, because we're like the culture and the language and everything just draws us the whole time.
Yeah, it's not so easy. And of course, we cannot look away from the thing that in our society, if we just look at something like human design, which might give help in this discussion, that we have 2% people who are manifestors in our population. These are natural born motivators, let's say motivators or explorers. And then we have about 50% to 60% generators, which are naturally born people to care for each other, to care for the planet, to implement things. What a manifestor never could do. The manifestor would be the typical Columbus who goes with the ship to South America, finds the potato and brings the potato to the generators, who just somehow know what to do with it, which Columbus never would know. He just sees, oh, something interesting. But the generators couldn't go to South America, find the potato and bring it back. So we just need to find a place where everybody can fit in and be natural.
Well, I'm not necessarily totally agreeing with you there either, because it's not natural for me to absorb.
Yeah.
But it's what I'm needing to learn. It's not my first choice.
Yeah.
Then it might be the second first choice.
You know, Basil naturally will want a shadow place with heat and partial sun to grow. And for basil to grow exposed absolutely in the sun, it can do it. It's not natural. And maybe there's a hint to it in that too. And we will discuss it. We will find out as a community with Bilbo in a fortnight. So please, you who are listening or are listening to this sundowner later to the recording, please subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you are invited and get the message on your mobile. And don't miss out on the sundown in a fortnight when you see Eike, Neil, Bilbo, and maybe Gaio again to discuss on what is natural and not natural. Are we in need of leaders or not? And what does a natural leader do in a circle? And how does it feel like? It was great today. I thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, it's very good. So thanks very much, everybody.
So, Neil, I leave the official goodbye to you.
Ah, okay. Well, so it's my role to say goodbye. Goodbye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye,
Goodbye,
everybody.
everybody. Thanks very much. Thanks for watching.